You have probably heard hundreds of people telling you to sell AI, but almost nobody tells you how to actually start and build something real. 2026 is just around the corner, and AI is growing at a rate we have never seen before. Starting your own AI business right now is like Bitcoin in 2012 for dropshipping before it even got saturated. So in this video, I'm going to teach you exactly how you can build your first AI receptionist with no coding required or no prior experience. But before we begin, the tools we're going to be using are going to be Retell AI and Ultrabox, and all of these are completely free. So let's get right into it. We're going to head over to Retell AI, and this is a platform we're going to be using to actually make this AI receptionist. And right now, Retell AI is actually the best platform and my favorite one. We're going to go ahead and we're going to click login. Once you log in into Retell AI, this is exactly how it should look like for you. As you see here, we have no agents. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to click create an agent. After that, we're going to hit voice agent, and you should see this pop-up screen. These are all the different types of agents you can create. We have a conversation flow agent. By far, this is the best one, but it's the most complicated way of making your AI receptionist. So to actually make your first agent, we're going to use a single prompt agent, which is by far the easiest way to actually get started. We're going to select single prompt agent, start from blank, and you're going to hit create. I'm going to go ahead and move my camera here so you can see everything. So you should see this box right here. This is where you're going to be typing your prompt, and you're going to tell its functions. For example, like its role, its style, their rules, objectives, and all of this stuff. Here in the top left corner, we have a different selection of different AIs we can use. For example, we see Claude, GPT, and Gemini. Right now, they just added GPT 5.1 and 5.2. But right now, I think the best one is ChatGPT 4.1. This is the one everybody uses, and it's the one we're going to be using in this video. So as you see here in ChatGPT 4.1, we have two different settings. We have the default and the fast tier. The fast tier just takes less time to reply, so it actually feels more natural having a conversation with it. So this is the one we're going to be using. If you click this wheel right here, we're going to have two options, which are going to be LLM temperature and structure output. So for LLM temperature, I like to keep this in 0. And for structure output, if you're going to make a complex agent with different types of functions, such as booking appointments, rescheduling, canceling, sending follow-ups, and all that type of stuff, you usually want to keep it on. But if you're making a quick, simple demo, you don't need to use it. You can just turn it off. Here we have all the different types of voices we can use. We also have different platforms you can use. We have 11 Labs, Cartesia, Minimax, and OpenAI. I think OpenAI is honestly horrible. I usually use 11 Labs because for me, that's the best one. And as you see here, we have all these different voices. I would honestly just recommend using the voices that have the green check marks right here. These ones, because they sound like most realistic. My favorite one is Simo, because it sounds the most natural and most realistic. Here are all the different languages you can make the AI actually speak. We're going to keep it in English because it's just a single prompt agent. And I'm going to be making a new different video on how to actually incorporate all these different languages into it. So before I get into all of these different options, we're actually going to be building our first receptionist. So in order to actually build our first AI receptionist, what we're going to be doing is we're going to head over to Ultrabox.ai, and we're going to click create an agent. Now, once you're in this page, you're going to ask it to generate you a prompt. So we can just say, generate me an AI receptionist for a local barber shop, right? It just asked me a couple of questions, and now it's generating me a well-written prompt. Great. Now let's say add all variables inside of, and then we're gonna write this right here. And there we go. We're just gonna click accept. Then we're gonna copy this and paste it. You're gonna hit save. Now, super important, whenever you're actually making your AI receptionist, you always want to have these 4 things, which are a role. Then we have our main objective, some key rules and constraints. And then you kind of want to have information, right? So everything you see inside of here is actually going to be called your dynamic variables. And the way you're going to add a value to these variables is by going over here. You're going to click these points. And as you see here, we have dynamic variables, and you can just enter the value. For example, we're going to name our barbershop Matthew's Barbershop. And as we see here, we have the time, we have the date, and all of that stuff. So now let's go over these things. Over here, we have our functions. These are all the different functions you can add to your AI receptionist within Retell AI. So if we click add, we see here we have the function of end the call. Then we're going to have call transfer. So whenever a person wants to transfer a call to a human, this is a function that's going to allow, usually in all of the functions, you're going to have a name and a description. A description is just a type of event that needs to happen in order for the AI to actually transition or make a function itself, right? The AI receptionist can transfer to a static destination, which is pretty much on a different phone number, and you want to format it to E.164, which is pretty much the +1 you see here, which in this case is a United States number, but we can just add +99 or whatever you want, and this is going to be your E.164 format. We also have dynamic routing, which is pretty self-explanatory. So for example, if throughout the call the user wants to reach support, you can transfer it to whatever number you want, but if the username wants to reach sales, you're going to add it to a different number, right? Pretty simple. In here we have two different types of transfers, right? We have a call transfer, which is pretty much the AI transfer the call to the agent without a debrief. Basically, it doesn't send a summary of the call to whoever is going to be transferring the call to. Or we have a warm transfer, which is quite the opposite. The AI actually sends a summary to whoever it is transferring the call to. The next function we have is the agent transfer, which is pretty much call transfer, but instead of the call being transferred to a real human, it is being transferred to another of your agents. This is pretty useful when you're doing a single prompt in order to not overwhelm the agent. These are my two favorite options, which is check calendar availability with cal.com and book on the calendar. This is where you're going to be using to actually schedule your appointments, cycling the calendar, and all of these things. If you made it this far into this video, I just want to clarify that this is just a demonstration of how to actually build your first AI and kind of how it looks like. If you try to sell this to an actual business owner, they're probably going to get really mad because there's no functions being involved or whatsoever. However, this is really, really good when you're making a demonstration for the business owner. For example, let's say you book a call and you get them into a sales call and you want to demonstrate them how the AI actually sounds like. This is perfect. But I'm going to be making more videos about how to actually make these complex agents where you can integrate functions such as checking calendar availability, booking the calendar, canceling, and all of these things. And the way it works is you connect your API key from cal.com, you plug it into here, and then you put the event type, and that is pretty much done. You could also change the time zone. I'm located in Florida, so my time zone is New York. Pretty much EST zone. But it's not even added on the prompt, so it's useless. Then we have our press to heat up. So if you ever call the medical center, you know that they have those outdated press 1 to call, press 2 to talk to an agent, all of those things. This is pretty much the same function, however, it sounds more real. So we have our send SMS function. This is pretty good for follow-ups and for sending notifications whenever you book an appointment, or if, you know, for whatever reason, they want to cancel the appointment, you send them the notification that the appointment has been canceled. Now you can either type a prompt and let the AI say whatever it wants, or you can make a static sentence, meaning that it's going to say now whatever you actually typed. Here we have our extract dynamic variable. So this is a little bit more advanced, but let's say you want to extract their name or their phone number or whatever. This is what you're going to be using, but I don't want to confuse you guys. So we're just going to keep it light for now. And the last function is the constant function. Now, this is way more complicated. If you know APIs and all of this stuff, this is where everything is going to go here. This is pretty much how you integrate the agent to any other CRMs and all those kind of things. The next thing we have is knowledge base. Knowledge base is giving information to the AI receptionist so it can answer their questions and pretty much giving correct information so it doesn't just make up random bullshit. So if we click add knowledge base, it's going to send me to this page right here. Right now, this is a new account, like I said, we don't have anything. But if I wanted to create a knowledge base, we're just going to click enter. Let's just say, I don't know, website information. And there are 3 different types of ways to actually add this knowledge base. We can add a text where you put the information manually. We can upload a file, a document full of information. Or we have add web pages, which is actually my favorite way. And it's the most effective way. So you would just click add, and then the rest is self-explanatory. So now the AI receptionist has all the information of the business it needs to answer questions correctly, right? Our third option we're going to have here are the speech settings. And here you can add different background sounds. Personally, I think call center is the best one because it sounds more realistic. But you have different options such as coffee shop, convention center, mountain outdoor, and, you know, different types of things. You can also adjust the volume. I'm just going to keep it a little low. Then we have our responsiveness. So the more you turn it down, the slower it's going to reply, meaning it's going to have more latency. And the faster you turn it up, the faster it's going to reply. Then we have interruption sensitivity, which controls how sensitive your AI is going to be interrupted by a human. Now we have high and low, with low meaning it cannot be interrupted as easily, and high being it's stopping the reply. I usually keep it high because it is super frustrating when you're talking to a receptionist and it doesn't let you speak, right? So I keep it in 0.9. Then we have the enable back-channeling option, which enables the agents to use affirmations. It could be like, yeah, to show that it's actually listening. We're going to turn it on. And here we have the frequency, like the amount of times we wanted to actually say those words. And we can just, for example, let's say, yeah, we have enable speech normalization. It just turns fancy looking text to normal human spoken forms. However, it does have latency, so I just keep it off. And here you can change the way your AI pronounce certain things. For example, let's say I want to pronounce Matthias. Here you will put Matt-E-S. That's the way I want it to be pronounced, right? Next option we have is real-time transcription settings. Pretty much just controls how clean, how fast, and how accurate the AI listens to the actual human being. For example, let's say there's a car in the background. If you click remove noise, it's going to be removed. However, this option is very good to remove noise and background speech, because let's say there's, I don't know, somebody's calling and they have their dad angry in the background. It's just completely going to ignore their dad. We have our transcription mode, which I always keep it at optimized for speed because we want a reactive AI. You could optimize it for accuracy, but honestly, it just has more latency and it makes the AI run slower, which is very frustrating. This is a very useful option because, for example, you can have the difference between general terms, which would be like a barbershop, or you can have medical terms for dentists and all of this different types of businesses, which is really useful. The next option we're going to have is the call settings. First option is going to be voicemail detection. This is more for outbound agents. In this case, since we're doing inbound, we're not going to need it. But like it says here, it hangs up the phone if there's a voicemail. We have user keypad input detention. This relates to the previous function here, press digit. We're just going to turn it off because it's just a barbershop. I'm going to use this. We have the amount of time the AI receptionist can hang up the call if the user doesn't reply at all. The max being 30 minutes and then the minimum being 10 seconds. So if the user stays quiet for 10 seconds, the AI is automatically going to end the call. Or if it stays quiet for 30 minutes, then it's going to end the call. I usually keep it around 3.1 minutes. Next, we have the maximum amount of time the call is going to be going on for, with the max being 2 hours and the minimum being 1 minute. I usually keep it around 8 minutes, I'd say. That's pretty good, but you can just keep it as much as you want. Here we have the data you want extracted after the call. So for example, let's say you want a call summary. In this instance, the AI is going to give you a summary of how the call went. So let's go ahead and actually test the agent. Hello?
Thank you for calling Matthew's Barbershop. This is Alex. How can I help you today?
Yeah, I would like to book an appointment. Is that okay?
Absolutely, I can help you with that. What service are you looking to book today?
Another way you can test your AI agents is by opening a test chat. So let's say something like hello. Then, oh, I messed up the spelling here. But as you see here, barbershop name, we have Matthew's Barbershop. So I would like to make an appointment. And as you see here, it gives you a reply. So yeah, it's pretty much how you make your first AI receptionist. Again, this is just for demonstration. I wouldn't recommend actually selling this to a business, but I am going to make a tutorial soon on how to actually make an AI receptionist that books appointments.